Do you think you're a good trader? Wait, that's not fair. You already judged me as a trader. So are you? Are you a good trader? Let's go and see. Let's go and talk about this. Most traders drown in indicators. Today I'm going to show you that one line, one simple line could be enough to trade. If you think that loads of indicators and loads of lines and loads of things in the market are going to make it easy for you, you'll be wrong, totally wrong. You have to understand that trading is 50-50, no matter what you do. Sometimes when you take a trade, you got a chance of winning. Sometimes when you take a trade, you got a chance of losing. In other words, 50% of the time you take a trade, it could win, and 50% of the time when you take a trade, it could lose. Do you know why? Win rates don't make you money. You can't predict the markets, and you don't know which way the market's going to go. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders, welcome. Good to see you again. After years in the market, I realized you only need one setup. 34 years, to be exact. Let me explain. I've been doing this for 34 years. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob. For those of you who do know me, I'm still Rob. This might drive you insane, but here we go. Today I'm going to show you how you can actually trade with limited resources, limited indicators. You don't need fancy charts, 100 screens all over your walls. You don't need all these fancy goodies. In fact, you can do this on a mobile phone or a laptop. Most traders drown in indicators and lines. I'm going to show you how you can trade with just one line. Why we get all overcomplicated is still beyond me. It's still what makes me wonder where we're going with this and why people have 25 screens all over the wall. It's so confusing. And each screen's got 40,000 different indicators on it. It's quite insane. Look, I'm guilty. I've got at least 3 monitors running here for me. And at any one time, I used to have many more, and I actually removed it all and reduced it down to come in, check the trades, take a trade, go and have a nice day. No indicators, no clutter, just pure price action. If you're overcomplicating trading, watch me trade with just one line. I'm going to take my little screen with my face on it, because you don't want to be looking at that all day. I'm going to move it up into the middle and make it a little bit smaller for you so that I disappear up into the middle here. You can actually see the chart, perhaps. I don't know, maybe not. Don't forget, trading's risky. Most traders do lose money. If you don't like risk and you don't like losing money, you know the drill. You probably shouldn't be trading. I think if you don't know that saying by now, then you probably haven't watched my show before. For those of you who have watched my show before, you'll obviously know what it's all about. I'm going to talk about the one line today. I'm going to talk about why we only really need one line to trade, why we don't need a whole bunch of indicators in the market to trade with. I mean, we really don't. Keep it clean. Keep it simple. You don't need a million lines on your chart. Just think about it. What are you going to do with all those indicators and all those lines when trading is effectively 50-50? Because we all know that when you take a trade, you've got a 50% chance of winning and a 50% chance of losing. And of course, if you're really fortunate and you're a lucky person, you might win more trades than you lose. But most people don't. In fact, 75% of traders actually lose in the markets. I just look at that and think, well, when you take a trade, how many of you actually believe that you're going to win more trades than you're going to lose? Hear me out with this extra point that I'm going to give you here. Making the full target. In other words, I'm not talking about scalping wins. I'm not talking about, oh, I got into this trade and I quickly made some money. No, I'm talking about a real trade. I'm talking about I got into the trade and I had a target over here and I actually achieved that target. That's what I'm talking about. How many of you actually believe you're going to win more trades achieving the target? So there's my target.
You don't really think you'll win, do you?
There's the trade. It's reaching for the target. It hasn't reached the target yet. Many of you would already trade out at this level and be off and gone. Me, I'll move my stop loss up behind it and try and reach the target, because I know that I'm only going to reach target on maybe 30-40% of my trades. The others will be either small wins or to take out stop loss, or for that matter, losses. It just goes without saying. So how many of you actually believe that you're going to have a higher win rate achieving the target that you have in the first place? That's, of course, if you have a target. I mean, you really do need to have that target to get there. Obviously, that's going to make a difference to your whole trading scenario. One line of trading. It's so important to understand that you only actually need one line to trade. Now, the important thing to also understand, though, is you normally pick out your support and resistance. So you'll go to the day chart and you'll have a look and you'll say, well, where's my support and resistance? And you'll probably pick that level out and say, well, there's a support and there's a resistance. Now, if you want to do that, you can, but you really don't need to. You actually don't need to. I mean, this particular trade's got 3 lines in it, which you really don't need. Effectively, when you're in that area, you can see it without even drawing the lines in. What's the most important line that you actually need? And that is the line that you're working on. The line that you are heading towards. For example, if you're working towards the resistance line, you might only need that line. If you don't have that resistance line and you see it's running around in a range and you just want to know whether you're going to go long or short, you know, this is so simple that I can explain this in 5 minutes. We don't have to go into a 20-minute video or anything like that to actually explain it. Straightforward, really. You need this one line, and it's a trend line. You just need that. That's all you need. You don't even need to draw the other one in. You don't need lines up and down. You don't need any lines on your chart whatsoever. What that line tells you is it's a support, not a resistance. It tells you that your trade is now bullish. It tells you if the line, if the candle comes down to this line and it bounces off that line with a green candle, it's going long. If it breaks through that, it's breaking structure and it's going short. You need one line. And if you don't have trend, if it's going along in a sideways line, you might only need a resistance line or you might only need a support line. You do not need 100 lines on your chart. You don't need to draw 25 support and resistances in. You only need the one that you're working with. Because what's the point of drawing all the other ones in, and then when it gets there, you get confused because you think, well, actually, it's just going to turn around and break on that point. Oh, I'm not going to take that trade because at that point, there's a resistance and it's going to come back off there, or whatever the case. This is what drives you insane in trading. This is what's going to drive you mad, is having too many things on your chart which are going to confuse you. Because when you... Let's say you draw a line here, line here, line here, line here, line here. I'm not going to draw them all in because I just have to take them all out, won't I? And every time it gets to that line, something's going to happen at that line because that's what traders do. You get to the line and you think, well, it's at that line now, so it's either going to go through it or it's going to go back. I could draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just on this little space alone, I could draw like 10 lines in here. And it would drive you insane because you wouldn't know when to trade and when not to trade. My old adage, just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate your trading. Don't go insane with your trading. You can see 100% every single time that one line is enough to trade. What would you trade with on the S&P 500? I'm going to take this trend line out because you know what? We don't need it. We actually don't even need the support line. You can take it out. There you go. How many lines have we now got on this chart? Ooh, one. And in fact, you don't even need that. You could just draw a block in here if you wanted to, but then it's the same thing. So we got one line. It's on the H4. There's the resistance. It broke through the resistance, came back, retested, broke through it, thought, ooh, it might go short, came back up, broke back through it again. It's come back, retested, gone up. That line is telling you to go long on the S&P 500. It's telling you that the S&P 500 is long. At this point, if you're really not confident and you would like some confirmation, you want to draw a second line in, then you might draw a trend line in and say, well, where's it going to go to? Is it going to bounce off there? Is it breaking any structure? But further than that, to draw line after line after line after line after line, all it's going to do is stop you from trading. You only need that one line. That one line has already told you what it's going to do, where it's going and why it's going there. Hey, it's Coffee with Rob. As always, good cup of coffee always makes your day. The trend is your friend. I agree with that. The trend is always your friend. Also, break of structure in a trend is also actually your friend, because when it breaks structure, you know it's breaking structure. This is a breakout trade. For example, you're trading with this one line. It's breaking out here, big green candle, and it's moving to the upside. The trouble with breakout trends is you have to understand that in most cases, breakout trends fail. In other words, 70% of the time, a breakout trade will in all likelihood fail. Now, I say that very carefully because when a breakout trade works, it runs like crazy and it can make you an absolute fortune. So don't look at breakout trades and say, oh, I don't want to take breakout trades because most of them fail. Just use your simple risk management, use the policies that we always put in place, and understand that breakout trades can make a fortune. The turtle traders, that's one of my videos that are in the list there. Just go and check it out. Go and watch that video. They made a fortune out of breakout trading, and they only won 20 or 30% of their trades. Same old principle. Just follow the strategy, follow the business plan. The business plan is so important in trading, and I don't know why people still don't get it and still don't understand it. Bitcoin, look at this. I've put 2 lines in here instead of 1 line. I've got my resistance, got my support. This line is worthless, shouldn't be there. Let's just take it out the way. That's all you need. You can see what Bitcoin is doing. Now, at the moment, you don't need the support line in here at all because it's right at the bottom. So it doesn't really matter. What line are we working with right now at this moment? We're working with this resistance line. What this resistance line has told us is that it's hit the resistance, come down, hit the resistance, come down, hit the resistance, come down, hit the resistance, come down. I'm going to say that 100 times, aren't I? And it hits the resistance again and comes down. What's it going to do next? Hit the resistance and come down or break out? You see, that's what we don't know because we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen next. We can only see what's happened in the past. But what's happened in the past is really important to us because what's happened in the past has given us a lot of good information. But the more times that a price hits a level, you have to understand that it's a bit like chipping away at a wall, and eventually it's going to break through there. So we look at that one line. The line is not something that's going to stop or make your trade go. Behind that line, what is this line? Why does the price keep bouncing away from this line? Is this a magic line with magic stuff? Are there fairies in this line that just when the price gets there, it says, get back. You can't go further than this because we say so. No, there's no magic in the stock market. What's in the stock market is at this level, there's a whole bunch of orders, there's a whole bunch of money. And what does that entail? That entails real money, real traders, real people are behind there. So when you start to see that it's not a chart that you're looking at, there's actually people in there that you're trading with or against, then you understand a little bit better what's happening in these areas. There isn't magic. There's orders there pushing it down, orders there pushing it down, orders there pushing it down. Eventually that money is going to run out. Eventually those people are going to change their mind, and eventually it's going to break through to the other side. That's what your line is for. Now you all come along with all your fancy oscillators, all your fancy indicators, all your fancy little tools in the market, which say, well, if the price gets to this level, then it's going to cross over and it's going to give you this indication, or the Ichimoku if it's above the cloud and below the cloud, and all this complicated mishmash. You get your brain all tied up into this mess. When at the end of the day, what's your one job in the market? What should you be looking for in the market? Now, I just talked about one line, and I put a chart on that's got like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines on it, unfortunately. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. This line can actually come out. Shouldn't be there anymore. That is the one that can go. This was a support and this was a resistance. That's about as much as I'll draw in if I can help it. These are areas of liquidity, supply and demand that I'll sometimes add in, but you don't need to add them in. You can simply trade on these one lines. Because what's your one job in the market? Your one sole job in the market is, yeah, you'll say to make money. I know you'll say that, but that's not it. It's to look for the money. It's to look for the liquidity. It's to look for the areas where all those institutional traders with all the big money are moving the markets around. Because the one thing to understand is you're not moving the markets around. I'm not moving the markets around. We are retail traders. We make up a minuscule part of the market. And as much money as you think you've got, you don't have as much money as those people do. They're trading with huge, gargantuan sums of money, and they're moving markets around. What you're looking for is where their orders are, where their liquidity pools are, where their money is. And the easiest place to find it is in support areas or resistance areas, because you know that those are areas of interest. Those are areas where they're going to move the market, where they're going to take orders, where they're going to take money, because they're searching out money in those areas. That's what they're doing, and they're actually buying and selling. And if you can ride the piggy bank, if you can find that spot where they are and ride it with them, then you'll be able to pick it up. Which is why you get these guys in the market talking about false breakouts and trying to trick you and I don't know what else. And really, these guys are not tricking you. These guys are not pulling you around. They're just searching out the money. They're just searching out the orders so that they can put their billion-dollar trade in, whatever the case. Our ZAR trade has started to turn around, and I see it's coming back again. I just can't seem to get a break on the ZAR trade, but there you go. This is bearish, has been bearish for a long time. I thought it had broken out. Trading on the one line, thought it had broken out, comes back to retest, goes back up again, but now it's coming back the other way again. I'm wondering if that one's actually going to work out or not. But as I said, you can literally trade on one line. Look at the Nasdaq. Look at this. I can take all of these lines out here. Don't need them. Don't need this line. Can go away. That's a trend line. Useful, but I don't need it because the only line that I'm actually trading with on the Nasdaq at the moment, this is the Tech 100, is this resistance line. Why am I only interested in this resistance line at the moment? Well, because it is so far away from the support line, firstly. So why would I be bothered about that right now? There's no chance it's going to do anything with that today, unless, of course, the world ends or something ridiculous. It is possible that it could play around with this resistance line because it's insanely close to it. So what I'm looking for, it's hit the resistance, 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 hit the resistance. That's an important area. This is an insanely important area because every time it hits this spot, what does it do? It rejects the price, pushes it away. That's the one line that I'm interested in. What I'm seeing is it's pushing it down, pushing it away again. It could go short. What I will do for confirmation is I will add the second line in just to see if it breaks structure and goes to the downside. But if it breaks through that line, that's all I need. Then I know that it's a breakout, green line going to the top. The red line is telling me that it's going down. In that case, I might actually add my next line in, which is the one line I'm going to trade with, and that'll be the only line that I'll be interested in, is the trend support. And the reason I put that line in is simply because I look at it and say, well, if it breaks to the downside and breaks through that, that gives me confirmation that it's going to the downside, and I don't have to just trade it off that particular resistance level there. Trading with one line is easy. You do want to put the second line in sometimes just for a little bit of confirmation. How many lines do you think I trade with on the VIX? Well, absolutely none. Not one. But if I was going to draw one in, there would be one, and it would be the support line. And it would be across the bottom here. That's the only line that I would draw in on the VIX. It's the only line that I'm interested in on the VIX. And I would trade it long every single time. Trading with one line, not difficult, not hard, not insanely out of this world whatsoever. US dollar, Canadian dollar, I actually drew an extra line in here, which was the double top. It broke through the double top. That was the line we traded with. Big long trade, and off she goes. The only reason I've left the resistance line up there is it's a bit of a target. I'm looking for that target. And that's how we trade with one line. I mean, do I really have to go into much more detail about that? Basically, what you need to do, you need to pick out your support and resistance if you can. Those are useful tools to you. Trade with whichever one is working for you, and then use the trend line to determine if it's breaking out or if it's staying in the trend. Easy stuff. That's how you trade. If you don't trade that way. You'll trade a more complicated way. Maybe you'll trade with Fibonacci. Maybe you'll trade with MACD. Maybe you'll trade with stochastics, volume, all these different things. They're not going to make your trading any better. Do this experiment. Do this experiment. Do it on a demo account. Don't do it with your $1 million cash account, because you might lose your $1 million and then you're going to be upset. But if you take a demo account, there's loads of them available all over the market. You can. I don't think you can get them with MetaTrader, but you can get them with I think TradingView and a couple of these other brokers and whatnot as well. Go and grab a demo account, go and open it, and then go and get somebody in your family or a close friend for a week if they're doing nothing, and say, come and take these trades for me. Come and stand next to me and tell me whether I should go long or whether I should go short. In fact, what you could do as well is just have a whole bunch of blockies like this and have them stand next to you, and then go into each blockie and say, choose long or short, and go to the next one, choose long or short, go to the next one, so on, so on, so on. As you can see, once again, I have removed my chart. Why do I always do that? And put it back. There we go. Put the template back in. Yay! There we go. And then let's just put it back. There you are. There you go. It's all back in place and everything's all muddled up again. But that's how you trade it, guys. That's as simple as it gets. So now we've got US dollar, Canadian dollar as the first one. Wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. I hope that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't, time to ask questions. Ask the questions. Let's see if we can answer them for you in any way, shape or form. But like I say, if you want to get complicated with your trading, it's not going to help you. Trading's 50-50. Do the experiment. Get your friend to come in, your family member, let them choose the trades for you. And if they say buy or sell, take the buy or sell. Do that for a week. And then see if you get a different result to what you would have got with your trading. But what you do have to do when you do that is manage the trade. If the person comes to you on the Nasdaq and they say, I want you to sell. And you look at it, you say, I don't want to sell the Nasdaq. They want you to sell. You sell and you manage the trade the way I've shown you how to manage the trade. In other words, business plan. You're going to risk $1,000 on the trade. So you look at it, you say, well, we're going to go short because they told me to. So I'm going to put my take profit over there. I'm going to put my stop loss over there in an invalidation area. My stop loss is at 26,000. My take profit's at 24,600. And I'm going to manage the trade. If it gets to the stop loss, it gets taken out. We lose on that trade. If it gets to the take profit, we win. Manage the trade, because you can't expect them to manage the trade. They wouldn't know how, and it's your trade. So make sure if you do that, to manage the trade accordingly. So if someone comes to you on the US dollars that they are, and they say you must buy it, you take the long, you put it in, you say, I want the long to go to that level. I actually took it at that point there, and I want my stop loss down at that level. End of story. Take the trade and then see what happens. Simple, really. Just go and see what happens and then see if it makes any difference with that person who knows nothing about the stock market taking the trades or you taking their trades. It'll shock you. In fact, probably surprise you. They might even make more money than you. Imagine that. Questions are open. Anything you want to ask, please go mad. That's the one line. That's the way we trade the market. We trade the market effectively. As you know, my method is generally to trade with support and resistance or trend. That's it. I do like to use supply and demand sometimes, but most of the time I just use the support and resistance, and we just trade with the one line. So now that you're a trading genius and you've seen all that, let me explain. The important thing to understand is that you need a strategy. You need a business plan, because without a business plan, you're not going to get anywhere. It's really important. Would you make a hamburger without a business plan? No, you wouldn't. You'd know. You need buns. You need meat. You need lettuce and tomato or something to that effect. I don't know how you make hamburgers, but if you were to start a business, you'd go down the road and you'd want to know where you're going to open it, how much capital you're going to need, and how you're going to get started in the market. Yet with trading, you don't do that. And I always wonder why. Why don't you do that with trading? With trading, you need a business plan. My business plan is really simple. Firstly, well, you need to know how much capital you're going to need and how much capital you're going to have. If you don't have capital, drop down to the description, go and get yourself a funded account. I've got a few available for you there, because I know there's a lot of you that don't have the funds to get involved in trading, and you need decent capital to get involved in trading, just like any business. Trading is not for free. You need capital to start trading. Now that you've got the capital, now you just need to trade it. You need to know how to trade it. Understand that trading is risky. Most traders do lose money. Here's the thing. You're going to start trading. You're going to look at trading. You're just going to jump in and you're just going to start clicking buttons, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, because you did some course. And on that course, they gave you a demo and you were quite successful on that demo and you did really well on that demo, didn't you? But the trouble is now you've got to trade for real. Now there's fear, FOMO, over trading, confidence issues, all these things come into play and you start sweating when you're losing money. Because if you're losing all your money, that's really not fun, is it? That's going to be quite difficult. You've got to get around this issue. The best way to do it is to have a proper plan. The plan, once you understand the plan, then you understand that somewhere down the line, this is all going to work out for you. And it's simple, really. It's to understand that you're going to lose trades. Firstly, you've got to understand you're going to lose half your trades. Once you get your head around this and you figure this out, then you go, but how am I going to make money if I'm going to lose half my trades? Well, really easy. Then you just follow my strategy, which is risk the same amount on every single trade. If you have a $100,000 account, you choose 1% of your account, say, so you risk $1,000 on every single trade. No matter which trade it is, keep the risk the same. The risk is the same on every single trade. You won't have an issue. The first thing you do when you spot a trade is decide where you're going to put the stop loss. The stop loss is going to be there. That's where I'm going to take my trade. Now you work out the size of your trade back from the stop loss to the cost. In other words, $1,000. You've worked that out. Now you make sure you can make more on the win than you're going to lose on the loss. In other words, you've got to be able to make more than $1,000 on that trade, on every single trade. If it's less, it's not a good trade. There's no good risk to reward. Let it go, throw it away. I don't tell you it has to be 2 to 1. It just has to be more than what you're losing. If you're risking $1,000 per trade, you need to be making more than $1,000 per trade. And then all you got to do is manage your risk, manage your trade. In other words, follow your stop loss up into profit and follow your win up and try and make as much as possible on every single win. Hopefully that will help you. Hopefully that strategy that I give you in every single video, and I do try and push out the strategy so that you understand it after watching all that system stuff and charting and all that kind of thing. At least you have the strategy now and a little bit of my business plan and what I do. And if you want to copy it, totally up to you. Go ahead, make my day, copy it, have fun. Thanks for watching. If you have watched this far, surely I'm not that boring. So subscribe to the channel, watch some more videos. There's loads more videos down there. Have a bit of fun. Join the members area. It supports the channel. The members area gives you a trade of the day every day and a few other nice, wonderful perks. There's even a course down there. And like I say, if you've enjoyed it, watch all the other videos. Come back soon. Join us for the live shows every Tuesday and Thursday. On that note, make lots of money. Thanks for watching. Cheers, ciao, and bye.